Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's not as if it's not as if I'm streaming. It's not as if I'm requesting people's presence on this stream. I just do goofy shit, right? How's everybody doing? Welcome. What's going on? There we go. That's better. Oh, I'm Warren. Welcome to the Warren Hayes stream, the Warren Hayes show stream. The stream. It's on this Thursday, beautiful Thursday. Not really. It was awful around here. It was just a bad day. Look, it's to the point that I'm wearing a sweater, or as the British call it, a jumper. And because it's a clammy, kind of rainy, wet snow type of just gross day. But here's what look. However, despite how the weather has been, I have eaten so much fucking food. I have eaten so much food. You have no idea about how much food I have eaten today. It's preposterous. If you were on the stream, if you came on the stream on Monday, I alluded to today being a day where my decade plus years of work at this place of employment where I am right now is being celebrated. Me and my other colleagues who have been around for a while. And we were taken out to a copious lunch today, like a lunch, a dinner that passes itself off as lunch. Is pretty much what we ended up having. I ate so much food, and it's one of these lunches that you're with the boss and everything, and no one they all know you're not working, and everyone's sitting around going kind of thing. And no one cares that you're it's like 3 p.m. and you're not back at work. So it's like, okay, well, this is really a nice celebration. Thank you. But Jesus fucking Christ, did I eat so much food? Like, it wasn't Thanksgiving here in the United States, but it was like the Thanksgiving in spirit. Holy smokes, did I eat food. And then what did I do? I ate dinner on top of that. I disgust myself today. I just ate way too much. I overindulged. Everything's good. What do you want from me? You would have done the same in my shoes. Don't sit there in judgment of me. Don't sit there in judgment of me. You would have done the exact same thing, okay? Oh, brother. Anyway, hope everyone had a lovely day. Shout out to all you Yanks today. Hope you had and or are having a lovely Thanksgiving. No matter how you decide to celebrate it, to pass it. I hope it was good, fun, relaxing, resourceful, charming, debilitating, whichever, whatever floats your boat, whatever you were thankful for, that's what matters. I hope you had a really nice time. I did. I sure did. Eating all this fucking food. Oh. Anyway, let's say hello to some people here. Silver Apocalypse, nice to see you, pal. Welcome to the chat. Silver Apocalypse just happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel here on YouTube, which you should become a member. Why not? Treat yourself. Oh, that's good. You had your turkey dinner, watching some football. Oi, hey, listen. You know what I did end up watching today is the Jack White Eminem shit from the halftime show that they had in the Lions game. Holy smokes. That, like, honestly, that fucking rocked. Like, that rocked. Like, that resonated with me. I was just like sitting there. Yeah, it's once I got out, I got out of the restaurant, you know, got into my car, drove home, and I got here, and then I fired back up all of this, you know, bullshit, all my computer nonsense and whatnot. And then I see everyone freaking out on social media about this. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? Right? It ruled, right? It was absolutely phenomenal. It rocked. Pretty exciting. Mr. Antox, nice to see you. Welcome. I heard Warren say if it wasn't for Willow Nightingale last night, the women's tag match was the equivalent of attracting black lung disease. Well, listen, I didn't say that in so many words. I didn't say that specifically. But I did say, God bless Willow Nightingale for keeping that match together. That is what I said, though. But you know. Rated R. Louis, nice to see you and welcome. I think the whole world should do Thanksgiving. You know, Canada, we do it in October. And the other places, well, I don't know. What does Hungary do? Like, everyone has like a like a harvest festival. That's the idea, right? That's why we do it in October, because it's not far away from harvest, right? Everyone, you know, most places have to have like harvest celebrations and whatnot, right? I'm just not aware of them. Why is this so hard? Putting my glasses back on. There we go. Jesus Christ. Pedro the Fifth, nice to see you and welcome. Byron Cutler, nice to see you and welcome as well. Just got a text from a reliable source saying Liv Morgan is cleared. That's good for her. And good job on your reliable source. Happy Smallpox Day to you, DGMC. Also, member of the channel. Must be proud to be celebrating that. I had a very small and demure Thanksgiving meal now because I'm heel. That fits you. Carlos, nice to see you and welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, brother. I don't know. I'll be fine. I just like I feel like I'm getting the turkey stupor, but I didn't have turkey. I'm getting it because I ate too much, because I ate like a fucking pig today. That's why. And you drink a lot of water. And I had pizza for dinner. Life. It's so wacky. Life is just so wacky. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm sure most of you are as well. You know, there's wrestling going on this weekend, but it doesn't interest me. What interests me though is I'll probably try and cram as much Stranger Things as I can this weekend, because this is the part 1 of their finale. And I haven't read any reviews. I've stayed away. This is usually what I do. It's just, you know, I don't go hunting down reviews or whatnot. And, you know, I just stay away from spoilers and all that stuff until I watch it. But, you know, and I think we talked about this on stream recently, but, you know, I am of like the one thing the one vibe. Okay. How about this? The one vibe that I have going into Stranger Things season 5 is, did we need 5 seasons of Stranger Things? And we're about to find out, because I'm not convinced we needed a season 4. You know, no, actually I do remember now talking about this on stream, because I'm going to use the exact example. You know, in season 4, after Sadie Sink's character, who I can't remember the name, after she does the running up the hill bit, which really was the peak of the season, quite frankly. Like nothing was better than that for the entirety of season 4. Once that was hit, you know, then you're like, okay, I think we're good with Stranger Things. Because I felt like the rest of the season just had things happening, and it didn't have that charm. It didn't have that Stranger Things charm that I think, you know, the awkward charm that made it so good, you know, type of thing. And it sucks, you know, because I thought I loved seasons 1, season 2. They were terrific. Season 3 was like, oh, you know what? This is a nice little close-up of a lot of things, but no, we had to continue. You know, and then you have the evil patient, the evil orderly in season 4. Am I spoiling things? Is there anyone who's like, shut up, Warren? With the extremely obvious twist. You know, where you're like, oh, sure. The show's been running for 10 years. Yeah, like they're not even kids anymore. They weren't even kids to start with. Now they're even less kids. Like the only thing that would make sense now is if we go back to Hawkins and we see them like raising families now. That's the way it should be. And David Arbor is in, you know, he's in hospice or something. Oh, that's kind of dark. That's a little dark. So that's a lot dark, actually. So there we go. I don't know. Should have ended after season 3. I think so. I think season 3 was a good little wrap up. I think everything was all neatly tied up and it was fine. We really didn't need the season 4. I thought season 4 was, I don't know. It lost a lot of the intimacy too. Like one of the things that made it really successful is that it you know, like the Duffer Brothers never shied away from, you know, from wearing their inspirations on their sleeve, right? Like they said it multiple times how much Stephen King was a huge inspiration for the show. And one of the things that Stephen King does really well in a lot of his most memorable stories is having these small, intimate locales where you get to know everyone and everything going on there. It's almost as if you feel part of the fabric of that small town, you know, particularly Derry, Maine, right? And you sort of understand the ecosystem and how people are and so on and so forth, and you get to know the places and everything. Then in season 4, when you started to go into, you know, the fucking gulag in Russia, it's like, who gives a shit? It's flying off from, you know, oh, we're on a trek to get to Alaska. Yuck, who cares? You know, it's you know, it was a lot more fun when, you know, it was all at the house, the Winona Ryder's house, when everything sort of hung around there, and she was, you know, communicating with the great beyond via Christmas tree lights. That was cute. That was fun. That was endearing. It was creative. It was a good idea. Now it's like the gulag is essentially a Mortal Kombat level. You know, it's like, all right, you know, you're like, okay, suddenly I'm playing Outlast. I don't know. Maybe I'm a big old grump too. But I really did feel like season 4 was not necessary, and I don't know if we need a season 5. So this shit better end good and proper. King of the North, the hell? Welcome, young strapping fellow. It's good to see you. Welcome back to ye old chat room on the most loungiest music you could ever hope for, loungier than Hook's theme. think they're ending with Sync's character in a coma? That's depressing. That's really depressing. I don't get Stranger Things and never have. Where are the video recaps? Where are the contract signings? Where are the Netflix execs cheering half-heartedly? All excellent points. I don't know. Why is the show just not the Winona Ryder show? Man, for all of us who were growing up in the 90s, everyone had some kind of, at the very least, a crush on Winona Ryder. That's just how it went. Season 4 ended with her in a coma. It did. I don't remember. I don't even remember how it ended. I just remembered that that it ended that Vecna's not dead and the Mind Flayer is still around, right? And they're going to combine forces, right? Isn't that the thing? Isn't that the anticipation? Wasn't that the thing? Is that the Mind Flayer is still around? And then that thing and Vecna are going to combine forces and they're going to take down the geeks. Mike and, you know, I don't know, Dewey and Stan. I swear I watched the show. I just cannot remember their fucking... I remember Mike. I remember 11. You know. The kid with no teeth. You know, Stewie. What's his fucking name? Doesn't matter. I can't do it anymore. So listen, all right, enough's enough. Enough's enough. Enough's enough nonsense. We're gonna get to some serious stuff. Being pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is real serious fucking shit, baby. Like this is like, you know, Stranger Things and all that. Like that's for normies. That's for children. You know, the adults, the real thinkers, the real black-pilled folks, they're into the pro wrestling. We keep it real here, brother. High octane, high level stuff. Oh. The past week has been just awful as far as discourse goes, folks. It's just everything. It's just been so bad. It's been so bad. And whoops, I gotta stick around. That's important that you see me. You gotta see me. No, but like for real, like it is disgusting how bad the discourse has been. I can't. And not just out there in the wilderness of social media, but even like in my own like little haunts. It's like, oh my God. It's like everyone seems to be losing their minds over what happened. And I have seen so much dooming within the past 5 days about AEW that I swear it rivals it rivals the entirety of the Warner Brothers renewal cycle, media deal renewal cycle arc. I swear to God, it's been untenable. I am so excited for people to start forgetting Full Gear. Christ. Anyway, we're going to talk wrestling now. But, you know, I did an AEW Dynamite review. I recorded it last night so it'd be ready today because I had a very busy day today. So I wanted to make sure it was out there. So, you know, I made sure to get all of that prepared and packaged and sent out to you. So it's available right now. on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, or go right here. You don't have to go watch it now. You're watching a live stream right now. You're getting the live experience. So why would you set that aside to go watch something that's pre-recorded that you could watch at any time at your convenience? Right now, I'm live. I am right here. I'm speaking directly to you. You know, why would you trade that? Why would you move away from that? Why would you not embrace the fact that I am here doing this like live broadcast in exchange for something that is in the can and will persist across, you know, eons of humanity, right? Maybe have you ever thought that maybe like in 4,000 years, when the hard drives of Google's server farm, are unearthed after the third, thermonuclear war that humanity goes through, they unearth the server that my shit is on. And then, the primitive inhabitants of Earth at the time then dig up the servers and connect them, because they're primitive, but not primitive to the point that they don't understand how technology works, right? So they'll get the servers in, they'll know how to get the cables, the necessary cables and power to get the servers working again, right? But they won't understand the context or anything. So let's say, they pull that up, and the first thing that they see pulling out these new servers is me. What if it's me? The first thing they see is the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. And in 4,000 years, I become an icon to these people with my cutting pro wrestling analysis. And then pro wrestling becomes a religious thing to them, right? All due to me. That's what I'm doing right now, live. So again, yeah. Why would you go watch something that you could watch in 4,000 years? is what I'm trying to say. Don't go watch the 4-hour Defunct Land video either. Wait till I'm done. So all that being said, the Dynamite review is available right now. It was available, of course, in early access to members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. So if you want to join, you can. That can be you. That can be you. You can get early access as well. The Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper is also out with my full gear review with thoughts on the Continental Classic and all that good stuff. And I guess that's pretty much it for now. I'm watching some wrestling matches, and once I get like 3 or 4 that I want to talk about, well, then I'll record a grab bag and share some pithy thoughts about some wrestling that I've been keeping up on, that I've been watching, and so on and so forth. So there you go. And leave a like on the stream, huh? Be a pal. Leave a like on the stream if you don't mind. And even if you do mind, do it anyway. See how much I care? Anyway, let's kick this off. Let's do this properly here.
How you doing, everybody?
How are you doing?
Just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a nunchuck master.
He is.
I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Booyah! How do we? Anyway, I want to wish Jacques Moliere a happy Thanksgiving. I hope Jacques Moliere had a really nice Thanksgiving. I hope he was able to. I hope he has like a family and good people to share it with, and that it was a good time, that he enjoyed himself and it was lovely and whatnot. That's what I hope. That's what I'm hoping for when it comes to Jacques. I wish him nothing but the best, especially because I want him on my show. I want him to drop in. I want him to do nunchuck tricks for us on screen. On a live stream. I want him to pull out the nunchucks and show what he's capable of. And no, I will not be paying him to do that. You think I'm some kind of mark? Come on now. Come on now. Probably building homes for orphans. Seems legit. Seems exactly what a guy with fiberglass nunchucks and a butterfly knife would absolutely go off and do. I know it's an El Generico reference. I understand that. But El Generico, from what I heard, is dead in a ditch, somewhere off the trail to Tijuana. That's what I heard. I don't know about this. This orphanage stuff. Sounds like fake news. Sounds like the Moliere industrial complex. Putting out stuff. I just thought of something. You know what? Before we actually get to the docket, this is something I found today. Look at this dumbass, stupid, fuck nonsense of fuckness. Mark Henry, of course, speaking on the Busted Open podcast, right? Or radio show. It's not a podcast. Excuse me. It's on Sirius XF. It's Sirius FM. He went on to talk about Javon Evans, and he went ahead and says and decides that there's no rush to push Javon Evans, right? There's no rush to push Javon Evans. He'll be ready. He'll enter his championship era in 15 years. All right. Now, there's another podcast out there that has started coining the phrase "underrated dumb guy" when it comes to people online or within the wrestling space who consistently have bad takes. Right? There's the dumb guys, right? There are the dumb guys, and we know who they are. And we point and we laugh. We make fun of them. They're the butt of our jokes, right? And then there's the underrated dumb guys who don't get as much attention as the other dumb guys, but, who have a body of work to sustain the fact that they should be recognized as dumb guys, but somehow are underrated as a dumb guy. And Mark Henry is an underrated dumb guy. I have decided after much thought and consultations, I didn't consult anyone, that Mark Henry is an underrated dumb guy. Because this is a dude who consistently has god-awful takes. And remember, this is the one that really does cement Mark Henry's dumb guyness. And I don't know if you recall, but last year when he received his auto-mailed mailing list WWE card, you remember this? And he was so excited about getting it that he opened up the letter in the car after he got it out of his mailbox. He was in his car and he opened it up. And he started getting all sentimental, saying, "This is what it means to be part of the family." And it's a fucking auto mailer, mailing list, bullshit, zero effort Christmas card, and he's tearing up, just like as if fucking Triple H sent him, a lock of his hair. He doesn't have hair anymore, but you know what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Boris. I was trying to remember there was a term that he used, and that's exactly it. Classy company is what he called it, right? And I think from that point on, I think it became obvious that he was an underrated dumb guy. Only a dumb guy would react that way to receive. It's the exact equivalent to receiving a card, a birthday card from your dentist, right? You get a birthday card from your dentist, which is just again, mailing list bullshit. And you get it because they want you to, hey, by the way, this is your reminder to book an appointment type of thing. And happy birthday, by the way. Or it's the other way around, right? It was more like, happy birthday. And oh, by the way, book an appointment. You need a teeth cleaning. You disgusting, foul-mouthed freak. And then you get the envelope and you start getting teary-eyed. You're like, oh, my dentist loves me. I must make her so much business. Oh, she's so sweet. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. But the real reason why I'm pulling this up, outside of having an opportunity to make fun at Mark Henry, Mark Henry, a guy who has a 20-year career in pro wrestling and was only relevant for about 18 of them, did anything good for about 18 months, I should say, within those 20 years. Most of that time there was spent making his boss laugh by doing, stupid shit on TV, while his boss was just trying to fire him because his boss had signed him to a 10-year contract and then had buyer's regret and didn't want to fire him because that meant that he'd still have to pay him some money. So he started humiliating him on TV, thinking, well, he'll probably hit the bricks, but he never did because Mark Henry is an underrated dumb guy who has quite possibly a humiliation fetish. Anywho, which is nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with it. If you have a humiliation fetish, that is fine. And if you want to flaunt it in public, well, I will consume that. I will consume that type of content. It's for me. That's fine. It's okay. But outside of me wanting to make a little fun of Mark Henry, I did want to point out here that Mark Henry, being a dumb guy, is parroting a lot of the points that are going around in pro wrestling these days, where that pro wrestlers right now who are at the top of their game are all quite old, and the young guys and gals coming up, they are the promotions are very reticent to go ahead and push them. They're really fearful of taking a young guy and strapping a rocket to them, a guy or gal, okay, just to be clear, and strapping a rocket and just seeing where it takes us. For some reason, they're terrified of doing that. And I haven't figured out, well, I mean, I have theories. I mean, no one has told me exactly why, but no one is taking any risks. And we're going with, people in their late 30s, 40s, mid 40s to be people, with tip-top championships and whatnot. Meanwhile, you have young, exciting, charismatic, talented talent who are like Javon Evans, who you could easily just like, hey, you know what? Let's try something here. Let's push this guy to the moon. And you would have, you would be much more secure doing it with a guy like Javon Evans than you would another guy like, I don't know, Karrion Kross. It's like, it would be much safer to do that. But promotions in 2025 do not want to do that. They're afraid of doing it, despite the fact that, historically speaking, pushing new, fresh faces in wrestling promotions is typically a good way to get people interested in your promotion and rekindling some energy, finding something new to do. There's and for people who think that in 2025 it cannot work or whatever, there are two use cases that exist right now, contemporary use cases right now, one being Pro Wrestling Noah with Ozawa and Stardom with Saya Kamatani, that prove that in both circumstances, when you turn around and you push fresh, young faces to be the top people in your company, next thing you know, You're making money. You're filling arenas. People are excited. They're talking about your product again. Isn't that interesting how it goes? And yet, some of the biggest promotions in the world, they cower at the thought of doing this kind of stuff. And quite frankly, if there was one company, one singular company on planet Earth right now who has all the leverage, all of the everything they need to be a little risky and try out a big push to a guy like Javon Evans, it's WWE. Like they are in the most comfortable position to try shit out, and they never fucking do. They never, ever, ever do. They'll never do something as bold as this. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. And I've used the term before, and we'll use it again. It's because it's corporate boardroom creative. That's why. It's boardroom creative that drives this company. It's not truly creativity. It's not truly paying attention to fans. It's numbers and spreadsheets. That's all there is to it. That's what pushes creative directions in WWE. It's the boardroom. It's corporate decree as opposed to true creative. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there that, on one hand, all of this is, yes, let's make fun of Mark Henry. But on the other hand, it's sad because what he's pointing out is actually a problem, which also makes him a dumb guy. But this is actually something that is observable and probably a thinking point. Mark Henry probably heard this from someone backstage in WWE. Maybe he heard Bruce Pritchard talking about it. He said, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense, Bruce. Sexual chocolate. Remember that? Can you put me on TV? I'll go make out with people again. Remember that?" Anyway. Yeah. Ultimately, that's the main problem. It's not even like, Javon Evans shouldn't take it personally because of those specific comments. It's just something that exists in pro wrestling these days that we're adverse to risk, which is preposterous. Anyway. Kristen Ashley. Kristen, hi. Welcome, darling. Welcome to the chat and happy Thanksgiving to you. And you are also a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Tokyo Mama, nice to see you and welcome. No, I don't think people, I disagree. I don't think he's a highly rated dumb guy. I think he's still flying under the radar as far as how dumb he is. I'm just saying. I think he will break the barrier and become a true to form dumb guy, where he'll be able to join people like Jimmy Corderas, who is a bona fide dumb guy. But he's still very underrated. People don't see it because there's some nostalgia about Mark Henry that people are like, oh, Mark Henry was great. He was not great. He wasn't even good. Mark Henry was never even a good pro wrestler. Mark Henry stunk. Oh, of course he getting back into the good graces. Of course. He wants his Christmas card again this year. He wants Javon to wait 15 years just like he had to. My career is the template for any successful pro wrestler. Mark Henry was successful because he made his boss laugh, because his boss found him entertaining, because he had no problems being humiliated on live TV to the delight of his boss. It's just as simple as that. The hand wasn't even his kid. The hand was. I mean, was it white or? We're not. No, that's it. Don't go any. We're not going any further with that one. Pushing new talent will always work. Just need to book them well. Yeah, and here's the thing: is that sometimes when you push young new talent, sometimes you don't even have to book that hard because the momentum is going to carry them, the excitement and whatnot. Sometimes it's not that hard. They're going to fool people by saying we're pushing Javon. He's in the Iron Survivor Top Contenders match at NXT Deadline. Yeah, yes. And then the fans are going to be like, oh, he's getting a push. Wow. He's a top tier dumb guy to people who pay attention. Look at the Vince quote months ago. I agree for those who pay attention, but it's not a generalized notion yet. I don't feel like people are like, Mark Henry is a dumb guy. I think they're more like, I think they're more along the lines of he says dumb stuff, but I don't think people have, because to be a dumb guy, you have to have a well-rounded, you have to have a well-rounded personality around your dumbness. Like it can't just be you saying a couple of weird things. There has to be like the sustained flow of things that just are constantly dumb. And Mark Henry is very much capable of that. And he has been doing that. And the reason why he's underrated is because people don't realize it. So I agree, if you pay attention, he is super dumb. But you have to be paying attention. Oh my God, am I canceled? Please. No. I've tried. We've come so far. Oh, maybe it'll get new views on the channel. Who knows? Him and Booker T fly under the radar 1000%. Booker T was pocket watching. Swerve fired back and people yelled, why do you attack Booker T? Look, I know. I think Booker T is another underrated dumb guy. And just because there are people who don't realize it, but for me, like, he is a dumb guy because on top of his silly podcast where he says all his bullshit, on top of that, he goes on national television and does whatever fucking stinky job that he does doing color commentary, legitimately the easiest spot you could have on an announce desk. He's doing color and he cannot string anything coherent or that makes sense or proves that he's even paying attention to the product. Like, he sinks himself. He's awful. These people are all awful. Speaking of awful, hi, what a fucking segue. I am the king. Did you see that? Did you see how fucking smooth that was? I am the king. We're going to talk about Andrade. Oh. Right. You damn right, alley-oop to myself. Holy shit. Oh. So we're going to talk about Andrade. There's been some Andrade news that has popped out. Hey, I just realized the chat is not on screen. Hang on a second. We got to fix that. Because I took it down the other day because I was recording a thing. There's the itty bitty chat there. There we go. There we go. Now we're all right. Name of me. There's some Andrade news we have to go over, folks. We're going to read an article off of the Figure 4 online. And let's find out if Andrade is still stuck in wrestling hell. During an interview with Deportes, published on Wednesday, Andrade said, I just want to take a pause here real quick because this deportes stuff. Like, I was like, I'd never heard of this. Okay. I was like, what is deportes? What is deports? Being the, you know, the king gringo that I am. And I clicked on it. And then I'm like, I don't want to get copyright claimed here, but I'm looking at this. I'm like, holy shit. Wait a second. Like, this is like a real sports setup. Like, this is not like some dopey podcast. This is on TV Azteca. And you look at, you got the setup here and everyone's like matching colors. Like there's, you know, like, you know, matching the blue, you know, the atmosphere here. And I'm like, fucking A. He was on like a legit, like I have no idea, but I don't know what it is, but what it looks like, the vibe that I'm getting from it is like, okay, he was invited on a big time real deal sports show to come talk about his WWE contract situation and why he's not wrestling in AEW. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Good for him. Good for Andrade. And I watched it a bit obviously, because, you know, I don't speak Spanish, but look at this guy. Look at how happy he is. Keeping It 100 podcast. This is not, no, no, you know, recording out of Disco Inferno's stayover motel, long stay motel is what I wanted to say. It doesn't exactly cut it here, but I mean, look at this guy here. Would you look at this man's face? Is this not a man who is absolutely thrilled? Look how happy Andrade is. Look at that lid. Like, this is not a working smile. He is thrilled to the gills to be in this spot. And I'm looking at him and you know what? My heart started to unfreeze, started to thaw a little bit at the thought of Andrade now. A little bit. Just a little bit. But nonetheless, like, this guy, and he smiles the entire way. Like, he is in such a good mood. Well, that's not a good screenshot because he's talking, you know, but look at this guy. You know, and look at him. Look, he's looking at the co-host next to him, who's the lady, right? He's like, look at this fucking guy's face. Look at this guy's face. Look, he's looking straight at the lady. Good for him. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah. Where's the fucking article? Is it here? Okay. I'm a streamer. During an interview with Deportes. All right. Excuse me. During an interview with Deportes, published on Wednesday, I think it's worse when I try to put on the accent. I think it's worse. I don't know how to pronounce this now without making myself laugh. Now here's the problem: is now I'm self-aware and I'm super judgmental of what I'm doing right now. During an interview with Mexican sports media published on Wednesday, Andrade said he is working with WWE on an agreement to get out of his 1-year non-compete clause with the company. He also said WWE only activated the clause after he appeared on AEW programming. Before then, Andrade believed he was completely free of his deal. My lawyers are already talking with WWE's lawyers and they're reaching an agreement. I don't know the exact date, Andrade said during the interview, which was translated from Spanish. Okay, why don't we break this down like from well, hang on. No, we'll read the whole thing. We'll do what we usually do. Warren wants to be Stephanie McMahon saying gracias. I don't. That is exactly the point. That I don't want to do that. And the thing is that I know some actual, like I know real Spanish people, like people from Spain, including people from South America, you know, and from Mexico on top of that. So it's like, do I know any people from Mexico? Well, I know people from Guadalajara, at the very least. So I'm like, you know, I don't, you know, I'm already super self-conscious around them when but they laugh it off because they're nice and they're my friends. You know, you people tear me to shreds over it. He also addressed his, I swear to God, I have no focus. What the fuck is going on? He also addressed his wellness policy violation in WWE that ultimately led to his departure. Quote, I got a warning because there are so many medicines or supplements in Mexico that you can use, but over there you can't. We'll come back to this one. Andrade's comments to the sports media show were addressed on Thursday's edition of Wrestling Observer Radio with our own Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, who mentioned that he'd been told WWE felt like activating Andrade's non-compete clause, was up to their discretion. So this is what Meltzer said about the interview. I would be very skeptical. I'm actually starting to talk like Dave now. I would be very skeptical of some of it. He basically said that his non-compete is worldwide and that he expects it to be settled in less than 3 months. And I was kind of told when this thing went down that they had the 1-year non-compete, but they probably weren't going to enforce it for the full year. They might. I think they felt it was up to their discretion. Meltzer added that he believes a WWE non-compete of this length would not hold up if Andrade took the matter to court. Here's another quote from Dave. If there was a court fight that was threatened, you would probably have to stop because there's no way that they could keep him from wrestling for a year and not pay him. And have the thing be worldwide, it could never hold up in court. But there's no indication he's taking them to court, but he is saying that they are in talks. His claim is that he didn't know that there was a non-compete when he went to AEW, that he was under the impression that there wasn't, and then when he went on, the WWE contacted him and said, hey, you're on a non-compete. Alvarez asked Meltzer if Tony Khan put Andrade on AEW programming without having him under contract. He may have signed a contract, for all we know, without the knowledge that he could sign a contract. This is such a goofy story. He obviously told Tony there was no non-compete, Meltzer answered. What a dopey ass story this is. Like, quite honestly. All right, let's break this down a little bit. So, first of all, we're just going to go straight for this, okay? I got a warning in regards to the wellness policy. I got a warning because there are many medicines or supplements in Mexico that you can use, but over there, meaning the US, you can't, right? Or WWE. Oh, really? Oh, you don't say that there are supplements or medicines that you can't, that are from Mexico, that are banned from use in the United States. Huh. Yeah. Gee willikers. That's a shame he didn't do his research properly, right? Started taking, these medicines. Started taking his medicines in Mexico, not knowing that he couldn't take the same medicines in the US. So it really makes you wonder, what the hell has he been taking? Look, I should have umbrellaed this with before getting into it. I should remind everyone that this is Andrade, okay? And he is a pro wrestler to the core. and he has no problem making shit up as he goes along. This is Andrade, right? So who knows exactly how true what he's saying here is, to be completely transparent. So the fact that he's saying, okay, let's just play devil's advocate and let's say this is true, then I completely buy that he was bounced from WWE because of his wellness strikes. And remember, I think if I remember correctly, while we believe there was a wellness policy strike, it turns out there were multiple wellness policy strikes, right? If I'm not mistaken. So I can believe that this happened then, and then it sort of removes from the table, again, if this is true, it removes from the table the assumption that a lot of people had that maybe Andrade was on drugs, like straight up recreational drugs. And I'm not talking marijuana. That might be something that this comes to counter argument. Again, if this is true, because he could be just 100% bullshitting here. But I have a tendency to believe that he'd be using, supplements and stuff that are okay in Mexico that has laxer laws on all this stuff, right? And the sale of this and whatnot, that maybe is a little more regulated in the United States. I buy that. I buy that. If this is, again, if he's telling the truth. Of course, you could say, well, why wouldn't he be telling the truth? Because he's a pro wrestler and he's not going to come out. Otherwise, he's not going to come out and say, yeah, I busted, the wellness policy because, I've been doing Fent. He's not going to do that. He's not going to come out on Deportes. He's not going to come out on the media show, on the Mexican sports media show and say, yeah, I'm shooting up, I'm shooting up heroin and popping Molly before each match. That's not how it works. He's not going to do that. My lawyers are already talking with WWE's lawyers and they're reaching an agreement. That could 100% be bullshit. Or it could be that it's the absolute truth. There's really no way at this stage, there's really no way of knowing. But I feel like if he's going on television, even if it is in Mexico, I feel like if he's going on television to talk about this a little more openly, address some of the issues that got him fired in the first place, and then he's talking about it on a public forum like this, I would assume that there is some kind of resolution coming up, or maybe that has already been settled, and he's just gonna go for it, right? Because otherwise, WWE could turn around and continue enforcing the 1 year non-compete if they really wanted to. I mean, look what they did to Ridge Holland when he went online and said, yeah, look, it kind of sucks. They're not taking care of me. And they're like, okay, fuck you. We're completely cutting you off now. Fuck your, fuck your severance pay and whatever, right? This is how this company operates. This is how WWE operates. So maybe there is I would assume that at this point there's a deal that's been worked out. There's something that has happened, and WWE is going to relent on the 1 year non-compete, and then he's going to be able to go back to work. Because there is, like Dave said, but we even said this at the start, there is no way a 1 year no compete clause holds up in any court in the United States of America. It does not stand up. And especially if it's a worldwide non-compete, This is the first we heard about this being a worldwide non-compete, right? If it's a worldwide non-compete for 1 year without receiving any pay from WWE, insane. That is crazy talk. It would not hold up in any court. So maybe he did have a lawyer reach out and say, well, we're going to take this to court. And the problem is that if it does go to court, if WWE does not want their contracts challenged, they will have to settle out of court for this. And they probably don't want to give Andrade any more money. So they're probably, their best outcome here is just to go, okay, yeah, you can go do your thing. It'll be less costly for them. It'll be less costly because it'll be less costly regardless of what happens. If they go to they settle out of court, is what I'm trying to say. If they settle out of court, they have to give Andrade money, and they already don't want to give him money, so they probably don't want to do that. And if they go full on with a trial, and their contract gets exposed to the world, that's something they don't want. And they don't want their non-competes to be challenged in court because the non-competes cannot stand in court, and that will be torn apart. So they don't want that either. It's crazy that the wrestlers don't realize how much power they have over WWE in this circumstance. It's really kind of weird that they don't stand up to the company more because they don't want this information out. They just don't want it out. So, like Dave said here, he basically said his non-compete is worldwide and he expects it to be settled in less than 3 months. I would assume then that there's something that has been worked out. And I would assume probably at this point that WWE said, okay, look, we are going to shorten the deal and we'll just, instead of doing a year, we'll do the typical 90 days. And they both agreed to that. They shook hands or whatever, and they're ready to move on. And then Andrade, what is he doing? There's a very fair chance that all of that Andrade's doing here is creating a narrative around, he's just creating a narrative around his team going to bat for him and getting the results that he wanted. When in reality, maybe it's just WWE relenting and going, you know what, let's just do the 90 days and never speak of this again type of thing, right? That's all. It might not be even that complicated. It might not be even that complicated a situation. Because look, Tony Khan refused to talk about Andrade when he went on Ariel Helwani. On an interview where he was saying, everyone is great. CM Punk is great. Cody Rhodes is great. Everyone's great. Well, Karrion Kross was not referred to as great, but that's something else. But in an interview where Tony Khan was just giving his opinion on everything, when Andrade was brought up, Khan was like, nope, I'm sorry. I cannot talk on this. I cannot speak on this at all because it's litigious. And now Andrade, he's going on TV in Mexico, just talking about it, going like, yeah, 3 months should be up. My lawyers are kick ass. And all the goofy shit we take in Mexico to make us look big and plump. We can't do that in the US. It's wild shit. Like if this was a guy that was about to be embattled with a court case, he wouldn't be going on TV to say these things. He'd be laying low. He'd be shutting the fuck up, kind of like what Tony's doing. Tony's motive was, I am not saying anything because I don't want to mess anything up for Andrade. I'm just shutting up. That's all I'm doing. Which is a wise thing to do when there are legal proceedings going on, right? So, look, what I glean from this is that Andrade is probably going to be in AEW sooner than later. Much, much sooner than we expect. Was it his crack team of legal representation that was able to have WWE change their mind? Maybe. Maybe. You know, again, WWE is not in a position of strength when it comes to their contracts on this level because they do not want their contracts being out there. They don't want these clauses being challenged. And AEW doesn't want either. Let's be honest. AEW does not want these independent contractors' contracts to be brought out into the open and challenged in court. Their validity. I mean, AEW doesn't want that either, folks. Okay. So no one really wants that. Does that mean that, does that mean that this is the leverage that Andrade's lawyers used? Could be all along. WWE was like, look, we're going to enforce 90 days. Maybe not all along, but maybe, recently. We'll do 3 months. We'll do the typical 90 days and then you're free to do whatever the fuck you want. And maybe Andrade is just starting to take a very low-key victory lap here. I mean, good for him. Look, because, he should be able to work wherever the fuck he wants. But I will punctuate this. I will end this with one last thought. One that I've expressed before, and it bears repeating. This is all way too fucking complicated for a guy like Andrade. Like, this is the kind of shit that if you were bringing in, if AEW was bringing in a guy like Roman Reigns, or CM Punk somehow returning, then you're like, okay, well, I can understand that this is real torturous and twisty stuff because WWE, that was one of their top stars, and AEW and all of that. Then you can understand that it can get a little twisty and knotted, right? But this is fucking Andrade, Cien Almas, El Idolo, a guy who has bounced around from promotion to promotion for years now, a notorious discontent who has historically always ended his relationships with promotions on a sour note. Clearly not sour enough for that to keep Tony Khan from hiring him back after he spent months complaining about how he was being used on AEW on social media. This is a guy that is not worth the squeeze. He's not a draw. He's never been a draw. This was a guy that they had lined up to fight Kenny Omega. And as I said back in the day, a couple of months ago when we were first talking about this, Kenny Omega's time with us as a wrestler, as a performer, is more limited than ever. Why are we wasting some of Kenny Omega's precious last matches on Andrade Cien Almas? I still don't understand it. Good little wrestler, can be great when he wants to, but does not have the oomph, the gumption to justify the amount of headache that everything that comes with him justifies. That everything that comes with does not have does not, let me say that again, does not have the standing in pro wrestling to justify all of the headaches that come with him. There you go. That was the line. But it's true. And I this is something I sincerely believe. Don't get me wrong. Good little wrestler. Well, more than a little wrestler. He's a good wrestler. He can be great sometimes when he wants, right? But he's a good wrestler. Well, let me tell you. Let me ask you a question. Like this is often the question that you have to ask when people start going off like on, oh, this wrestler's so great. This wrestler's so great. Why aren't they hiring him and so on and so forth? Then you ask him a question. One question. Okay, name me some of X's great matches. And when you talk about Andrade, you say, okay, what are some of Andrade's great matches? Oh, well, the NXT championship match against Johnny Gargano. Sure. And that's the one everyone always goes to, right? What else? Didn't he have a good one with Rey Mysterio on that one SmackDown when he came up? Yeah. Yes. You see what I mean? Like this guy's AEW has brought in bigger, better talent into this company without this much trouble, without this much issue. And especially when you consider that this is a guy who wanted out of this company so fucking bad. And now he comes back and is like, yeah, welcome back, bro. I still don't get it. I still don't understand. Anyway, nonetheless, let's not get the streams crossed here, because I think both can exist. I can be annoyed at the idea of Andrade, but I can also be very supportive of his right to be able to practice his craft and make a living out of it without unrealistic restrictions being placed upon the performance of his craft. Like, I am absolutely on his side when it comes to that. But holy shit, does this guy have baggage? Jesus Christ. Hey, Kudu, nice to see you and welcome. We're not watching Collision on TSN. Who says I'm not? WWE takes 0 PR hits in any of these scenarios because they dictate the media cycle. Of course. Of course they do. That's why no one's really talking about this, on a level of WWE being completely and ridiculously unfair in this situation. But hey, right? David Otunga had to bring that up. And then after, even when Otunga brought up the actual contract, we played the video here on stream a couple of weeks ago. He brings up his actual contract where he shows the 1-year non-compete clause, and people still say he's full of shit. And you're like, you're just not, at some point, you're never going to cure stupid. You're just not going to be able to cure stupid. And people want to believe whatever they want to believe, despite the facts being right under their nose, being right there. If law enforcement doesn't have jurisdiction outside the borders of the U.S. for the most part, then neither does WWE. Are we talking about the supplements thing? The medicines. Calling them medicines is much more funny. I said it from the start. If I'm Tony Khan, I post an Andrade match graphic for Dynamite to shake the table, make them kick up the lawsuit. Sure. That's actually a really good idea. Hey, hello there, AEW1. Welcome to the chat. Not celebrating the U.S. Thanksgiving, but I am celebrating my birthday, and I saw your stream was going, so I thought I'd drop in and say, hey, happy birthday to this wonderful member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Congratulations on your birthday. I hope it was good. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you continue to enjoy yourself here on stream with Mr. Warren Hayes. I'm feeling petty tonight. Like, there's not really much to talk about unless you want me to talk about, I don't know, what can we talk about? Continental Classic. Like, I talked about it on the Dynamite review. Now, the Continental Classic so far, I think, is like the 4 matches that we got to open were super fun. They were good to great matches, to excellent matches. I saw 2 4-star matches last night on Dynamite. I thought it was tremendous. I'm like, yeah, I'm super into it. Hey, how you doing, Obscurity Knox? Yeah, I'm not petty. I'm not catty. Whatever. What's this about? It's not me. No, but I thought it went off to a tremendous start. And the thing that I find really fucking sucks in this circumstance here is that, like I said at the start of the stream, you know, where I was rubbing my head and saying the discourse this week when it comes to AEW has been absolutely putrid. And I think it's overshadowing everything that happened with the Continental Classic and how great of a start it had and how exciting it's going, how exciting the start has been. Like, I'm very optimistic for this C2. I said so on the preview that I did on the podcast yesterday, and I feel the same way today. I feel exactly the same way today. I'm very, very excited to see how this is going to happen, and I'm doubly excited about it because we had 4 like terrific matches, great matches, and there's a lot of stuff on Dynamite last night that was extremely rough. That to a point that there's stuff that I thought was not good. I don't know about you guys and gals and non-binary pals in the chat, but I thought there was stuff on that show that was not good. But the matches, the C2 matches, were all pristine stuff. I had no issues with anything that happened in those matches. In fact, that was the saving grace of the show. Where it was like, if it wasn't for all of these great matches, we would have it would have just tanked everything. It would have been a terrible Dynamite. Obscurity Knox, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it immensely. It's time for a brand split. AEW Wolfgang and AEW Bonerville. I love it. And like out the gate, okay. I think I'm an AEW Bonerville guy. You know, I don't know who would be on the who would end up on what side of the roster, but I'll tell you this: I would be like, I feel in tune. I feel a kinship with AEW Bonerville. As opposed to anything else, or AEW Wolfgang. I found out just a couple of days ago through yes, I'm very feeling Bonerville. I found out through my dearest Kristen, who through some work she's been doing with PWI, I found out that Big Damo and the former Alexander Wolf, who's like non-WWE, it's just not coming to me right now. They're still wrestling as a tag team and they're calling themselves Sanity. I did not know that. And I'm like, good for them for just like hitting the independents in Europe and wrestling with their WWE tag team gimmick name. Like, good for them. Good for them. I hadn't realized that. Anyway, yeah, I mean, the C2, I think we're off to a tremendous start. And I know, right, I feel like there's a lot of discourse now that is going on because there's a lot of reviewers, including myself, that did not like the women's tag team match between the Babes of Wrath and the Sisters of Sin. I thought it was bad. I thought it was a bad match, and people said it's not that bad. No, it was bad. It was bad. And it's not just because of the moonsault. There's a lot of bad in there. And I shudder to think what would have happened if they didn't have, dependable, reliable, a high level Willow Nightingale in there to try and keep this from completely falling apart. Julia needs more reps. Here's the thing. Okay. It's a double-edged sword. It's like Julia's been around since the pandemic, right? She's easily with the company. She's easily been with the company 4 years, if not 5, maybe even more at this point. But I think she was a pandemic hire, and she's been wrestling quite a bit. And look, she was even a champion in this fucking company. She was the TBS champion. How many more reps does she need? I know she got injured, and I feel since she's come back from injury, she's lost what she picked up. Now, is this something that she could remedy? Probably if she got out there and wrestled more, sure. And that's the issue, right? Is that, AEW doesn't seem as excited to leave its people go out and wrestle on the indies, which would be a good idea. Maybe she doesn't want to do it, which is also something as well. I don't know. I find sometimes there is a strong fucking argument to bring back AEW Dark. Don't you people think? Especially since we got rid of Rampage, right? Especially since you got rid of Rampage and so on. What would be the harm in going back to Dark, doing these nice little gimmick matches, not gimmick matches, but these nice little matches. They're gimmicked for YouTube is what I was trying to say. Or now just add them to HBO Max, build up that catalog, just start it up again, right? And between that or the Ring of Honor tapings that you do at the shows, I think your viewing audience, I think the arena audience, the people there live, would be much more appreciative. They'd be much more into an AEW Dark match because it would likely feature wrestlers that they know, that they see on TV, as opposed to Ring of Honor, because no one fucking watches Ring of Honor. And I don't know how many times I have to say it before it becomes, a truth. No one watches Ring of Honor. So when you do the Ring of Honor, 1 hour before the Dynamite taping, everyone's sort of it's like, who cares, really? Blah. But you have Yuka Sakazaki's music kick off and during an AEW Dark, and she's beaten up on a local talent, and then people cheer when Yuka beats the local talent, and they're like, yeah, Yuka, we love Yuka. Get people back in front of the cameras and doing shit, especially without Rampage. Maybe at some point there was a lot of AEW content. Maybe now there's a little less. But I agree with the idea that there are some wrestlers who absolutely need reps. Now, I want to flip this around one more time. I'm going to do my own devil's advocate here. Is going out on Dark, okay, and having a 3-minute squash match a rep? I would argue, no, it's not. Going out and having an 8, 9, 10, 12-minute match, that is a rep. That's something that you can sink your teeth into because you're doing a full-blown match. Whereas, just hanging around Dark and and doing these little enhancement matches. Sure, it makes you look cool. It it gives you some buzz and whatnot, but otherwise, there's nothing to glean out of that. If the match, the way it's produced is, okay, you're getting in the ring with local talent Jay, and you go and you hit all of your signature moves, and then you pin, you win by submission with the fucking what does she call it? The I don't remember what Julia calls her finisher, her submission move. It doesn't matter. And you're gonna finish with the submission moves, because Julia, you can't do the moonsault anymore. You can't do the moonsault anymore, not until you've practiced it enough that you can do it with your fucking eyes closed. Okay? The moonsault is removed from your arsenal. That's what if I'm a coach in that fucking company, that's what I say. And I'm arguing with Tony Khan constantly to bring back AEW Dark, because I still think there's value there, despite the fact that it's not real reps. Okay, to go out there and have 3-minute enhancement matches, that helps no one. That doesn't help anyone. Like to progress as a pro wrestler is what I'm trying to say. It's not an easy. I don't think it's an easy fix, because there's a lot of things that are involved, things that we're not necessarily like privy to. For us, it might seem simple to just say, strike up a partnership with West Coast Pro, or keep DPW alive and just send your talent and have them work there, if they're not doing nothing on TV and whatnot, right? Just to keep the shape and keep things going. That's one. It seems simple, but then it's not, because if only because for the injury aspect, where it's like you're going out there and you're wrestling, and your guy or your gal could get injured on the indies, and that could derail stuff. But typically you would be sending out people who aren't necessarily getting big pushes, so it wouldn't be that big a deal either, It's such a twisty way of approaching things. And look, again, if we're being super honest with each other, it's not everywhere that has, like on the indies, that have really high level, competent wrestlers that can help your talent improve and try stuff out. There's a lot of places on the indies that, talent just stinks. They're just bad. Just bad. So what are you gaining from doing that? Probably not much. You see, I don't think it's as clear cut as people think it is. Because there are a lot of there's a lot of variables to this. Honestly, because I think if it was as easy as, hey, you know what? Let's just send our people to wrestle over here. That would be super simple. And then maybe, at the same time, maybe the local promoter is like, hey, I don't want your jabronis here. I'm not your training ground. I don't want your jabronis here to come here. And you feel like, I'm their training camp. That's not what I'm here for. I'm running a business. I want to draw people. If you're sending me, I don't know, Layla Gray, no disrespect, but if you're sending me Layla Gray's not going to put butts in seats. Again, no disrespect. That's just, reality. A little tangent there. Dark is needed. Without Dark, you don't develop the Acclaimed, and you don't get the minion overlord Athena character. It was on Dark that Athena did, where she beat up Jody Thread, and everyone thought that Athena had lost her mind, and the safety trolls started coming out. You don't develop the Acclaimed. Oh, well, gee willikers. What a shame. Gosh darn it. Are you sure you're arguing for Dark? AEW Worldwide Wrestling with the Ghost of Gordon solely hosting. There you go. You've got me now. I'm into it. They need to do indies. I'm sick of entitled AEW talent who are also green. I mean, that's also a product, right? It's a product of, in fairness to Sky Blue, like she was working the indies before being picked up by AEW. The problem is that she was picked up too soon. And Julia Hart, hadn't she never ever wrestled? Like she had her cheerleading background and that was it, right? She had no combat sports background. Dark is actually a cheat code for heating up a live crowd. Someone does a countdown, whoever comes out gets an entrance, pop, they spend 2 minutes getting all their shit together on some jobber, rinse and repeat. I like Dark enough. And you know what? Dark is a great thing to put on, to just put on background, right? And you're doing stuff, and then sometimes, sometimes someone does like this crazy ass move, right? And then you're like, oh shit, what happened? So then you rewind and you go, oh wow, that was really cool. That was actually a great move. And then you go back and you do whatever you're doing, the dishes or baking cookies or whatever the fuck you're doing, repotting plants, kissing your girl. You having to make what? You don't have makeout sessions with AEW Dark in the background? Is that what you're telling me? I'm the weirdo? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Like you have this, it's playing in the background and you're having this really hot and heavy session, and then all of a sudden you hear Tony Schiavone's like, oh my gosh, what did we just see? And you're like, wait, hang on a second, hang on, baby. And you rewind and it's like, oh shit, that was cool. Then you get back to it. Would you support Edge and FTR having an AEW PC? Not Edge, not Edge, not Edge, not Edge, not Edge, not Adam Copeland. Please, God, please, no. Dax and Cash, yeah. Dax and Cash I'd have more faith in, but Adam Copeland, absolutely doing 100% PC stuff there. No, absolutely not. And then bringing in Beth as a guest coach and no. Go do movies and TV shows. He seems to be having a nice little career, right? Doing that shit. Have FTR go and coach, and bring in Chris Hero, bring in Dean Malenko with whatever he can do. I don't know, he's old, he's in rough shape, but he could, tell people what to do. I'd listen to Dean Malenko. The fuck? You got Danielson right there. Cope can go fly off a cliff. I hope Cope flies off the edge into unemployment. There you go. Dean isn't even the best Malenko. We're talking about Debbie, aren't we? So, I can't believe in the year of our Lord 2025 that we're gonna talk about Lacey Evans. Now, long-time listeners of the Mr. Warren Hayes, and I'm talking long-time listeners of the Mr. Warren Hayes show, will remember that Lacey Evans was a punching bag of mine. I enjoyed taking the piss when it came to Lacey Evans. So I'm not going to skip an opportunity here, especially when she brings it on herself, to talk about her little meltdown that she had because Becky Lynch said her name on a podcast this week. Let's read the article here from Ethan Renner on the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer. Macy Estrella That is a very Latin name. Estrella, but you probably say Estrella, right? Anyway. You didn't need me to finish that sentence. Macy Estrella, formerly Lacey Evans in WWE, spent time Wednesday responding on social media to Becky Lynch's comments regarding their 2019 storyline. Look, out the gate, who is this again? Ethan Renner probably has won the award for best passive-aggressive introduction to a news article of the year. So, the former Lacey Evans in WWE spent time Wednesday responding on social media to Becky Lynch. Like, already you're like, he wants you to understand that she's embarrassing herself. Let's continue. Lynch spoke about her 2019 feud with Evans during an appearance alongside Seth Rollins on comedian Bert Kreischer's podcast released this week, saying it was terrible. Now, wait a second. Now, hang on a second. First of all, I'm sorry. Again, Warren Sidebar Deluxe here tonight. I don't think Bert Kreischer is funny. I kind of think Bert Kreischer is a tryhard. I don't think he's funny. And is the fact that he's funny the fact that he takes his shirt off and does stand up with his big hairy gut hanging out, is that the joke? Is that why he's funny? Is that why he packs up these large venues, these huge theaters and whatnot? And he has Netflix specials and all that? Because I've tried to listen to this guy, and I can't finish his stand-up routines because I don't think they're funny. Not in a way where I'm like offended, where I'm like, listen to this. Although he's one of these guys, right? He's one of these Joe Rogan orbiters, right? So of course he's going to have a lot of things where I'm just going to roll my eyes at that I instinctively feel is not funny, but I feel like even from the mechanical part of stand-up, his delivery's fine, but nothing spectacular. I don't think he's that charismatic. I don't think he's even that good of a raconteur. Don't think he's that good of a storyteller. But everyone wants to see him take off the shirt, and he takes off his shirt. And it's like, hey, this is the guy who does the fat guy who does comedy with his, he's not fat, well, he's not petite. He's more like he's a dad bod. He is a tryhard, okay. And didn't I hear recently that he's looking into getting into managing OnlyFans accounts? Like that's his thing now? Because clearly he's not making enough money with his stand-up career. Now it's like I'm sure I heard this. That he wants to start, like he's having auditions on his podcast that he has with the other guy, whose name is, can't come to me right now. And he has auditions where he has these girls send like their OnlyFans pages and whatnot. And then he looks at them with his partner. And obviously you don't see them because it's a podcast, right? Because they can, it's material they probably couldn't put on YouTube and shit like that. And they're commenting on the girl and what positions she's doing and whatever the fuck. And then yes, essentially he's getting into human trafficking. Yes, he's looking to become a pimp. Let's call it what it is, right? If you decide to manage an OnlyFans model's account and take a cut, she's not doing her OnlyFans because she has these great baking tips. She's not going to show you all these great ways to make your own jewelry at home. Jesus Christ. Bert Kreischer, anyway, the company these WWE people hold these days. the fatter about same funny level as Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is not even like Andrew Tate is like he's not even close to being funny. He's an angry, depressing. He's funny because he doesn't realize how much he's a cell phone. Anyway, let's move on. So they were on this podcast and Lynch, speaking about her feud, said that it was terrible, quote unquote, to go from main eventing the 2019 WrestleMania immediately into a feud with Evans, who joined the main roster just months earlier and had not wrestled on Raw or SmackDown to that point. And when I heard that, I clapped, slapped the table, and did one of these and said, "That's what I said." And I clearly remember back in the day when I was still doing the post shows over in Fightful, I clearly remember having that exact tangent where it's like, they clearly didn't have anything ready for Becky after she was done with her main event feud at WrestleMania, then coming out to fight fucking Lacey Evans. And let's not forget that this was all, not only was she feuding with Lacey Evans, but she and Seth were feuding with Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin. Like, you could not have a more cursed duo than Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin. And that's what she was doing. Becky Lynch, who was at that time still the face of the company. She was their biggest star. And this is what they decided to do with her. Lacey Evans, who had been brought up, I don't know if you remember this, but she had been brought up, like they said, like she said here, to main roster with a bunch of other NXT recruits. Do you remember this? You know, when fan backlash at WWE was at one of its highest, right? Where people were like, it's boring, we want NXT people up on Raw, you know? And instead of setting up the Undisputed Era or Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa, they sent up Lacey Evans. They sent up Otis, Heavy Machinery. They sent up, what's his name? The big bald guy, screaming guy. He was another one of my punching bags at the time. I'm drawing a complete blank, but I like, his name is on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. And it'll come to me in a second, and then I'll blurt it out for no reason, and then but I'll be satisfied, you'll be confused. I want to, like, all I have in my mind is Luther Reigns, but that's not it. Hang on, I'm going to look for it. Former WWE NXT call-up. Bald guy. Not Baron. Lars Sullivan. There we go. Lars Sullivan. Like, remember, they brought up all these people at once, and everyone was like, no, not these people. These are not the NXT stars we want. I think they brought up Nikki Cross there as well. I think they may have brought up Sanity. Wasn't this when they brought up Sanity, and Sanity showed up on 2 episodes of main roster and then they disappeared? Wasn't that that I might be mistaken on. But all these other people are like, no, fuck, these are not the NXT people we want to see up here. What are you people doing? And Lacey Evans was one of them, and she hadn't wrestled at all. All she'd do, again, if you remember, she paraded down the ramp, right? She'd walk down the ramp, her music had hit, she'd walk down the ramp and walk back up, and everyone, wrestlers, fans, everyone was sort of standing around going, the fuck just happened? Anyway. So, what I'm trying to say here is that Becky Lynch is right. It was terrible. And that's it. It was a terrible idea for Becky Lynch, historically main eventing a WrestleMania, to turn around and have to deal with fucking nobody, nothing Lacey Evans, right? This is what she said here. I start working with Lacey Evans right out the gate. God bless her, but she wasn't, for me to go from the main event of WrestleMania to somebody who hadn't done anything was terrible. And I agree. This was terrible shit Vince booking. But let's not forget, Vince was probably still very, very bitter, upset at the very least, that Becky Lynch had gotten herself over when it was supposed to be Charlotte Flair. It was supposed to be in the main event and not Becky Lynch, but Becky Lynch had become so undeniable that he had no choice to put her in these spots. So maybe, could have been Vince just going, yeah, well, suck it. So Evans responded with a series of 9 posts on X accusing Lynch of crying and no-selling during the storyline and mocking Lynch's path to WWE from the independent wrestling scene. And again, props to, his name again, Ethan Renner. I love the format of I love the format of his article because it is extremely petty and I love it. I absolutely love it. So he starts with this. Evans responded, and here's the quote. Don't hate the player, hate the game. The only person who cried more than you was the baby I had on my hip while taking all the opportunities. If/when I come back, oh dear God, you will still do nothing but gently shake my hand and say how cute my little family is backstage. And she responded, he has links to all of these tweets that she responded to, but a lot of the tweets are deleted or are completely out of context because there's a lot of deleted tweets. A lot of people couldn't take the smoke on Twitter, so the tweets disappeared. So she responded 9 times here, and then there's really one. There's really one thing that I would have loved to know, where she talks about learning a move in 2 minutes, but everything regarding that move is this post is unavailable. It's just gone. Everything is gone. And that stinks because I would have really liked to have known what was the move, because she responded to one Twitter user saying, I legit learned that move in 2 minutes. Between homeschooling my kid and making my husband's plate. Something #busted it out on the Indies Becky could never do. What? Why is it that people don't know how to use hashtags after all these years of using hashtags? Hashtags are not emphasis on something that it's not used for emphasis. It's not used for, creating this thing where you want people to latch on to it. In fact, that's what it's for, actually, is to create something that people will latch on to. Who will latch on to busted it out on the Indies? I think she means the Indies, but she wrote it ENDIES instead of INDIES. Busted it out on the Indies Becky could never do. She's just insane. I think Lacey Evans, I think we kind of knew she was a special level of special. But I tell you, she really likes to let us know that she's a good wife, right? This is not the first time she does this, Lacey Evans, where she's talking about homeschooling my kid, poor kid, and making my husband's plate, saying, I cook for my husband on top of that, and I do all the housework. You all remember these videos and shit that she would post once she got fired from WWE, right? You remember this stuff. And she responded some more, but like I said, there are so many. There's lots of tweets that just that are just lacking context, She took a shot at Sergeant Slaughter with the Cobra clutch, saying everyone cried around her. Sergeant Slaughter, Becky. Can you imagine the Sarge? Because I do remember Sergeant Slaughter not being too keen on the idea that she was doing the Cobra clutch. And she responded finally at the very end, I'm a limitless lady, sweetheart. I can do both at the same time. Both being responding to someone who was saying, stick to posting ass instead of chatting Becky, because let's not forget Lacey Evans has an OnlyFans because she's a good conservative mother. I'm a limitless lady, sweetheart, right? Doesn't she have an OnlyFans? I think she does, right? I'm a limitless lady, sweetheart. I can do both at the same time. That is posting ass and chatting Becky, and still get in the kitchen in time to make Thanksgiving dinner from scratch. Isn't that great? Evans left in WWE in 2023 after a 7-year run between NXT and the main roster, mostly in NXT. Lynch's podcast appearance, which stirred this response, is embedded in the article if you want to go see it. I mean, Lacey Evans has always been a big zilch. Like, this is someone, it's like I often say, right? I think to make it in pro wrestling, you do need to have an ego. And we can't pretend that even your favorite pro wrestler doesn't have an ego. You all have to have a certain level of it if you want to make it. You have to believe in yourself and think that you're better and so on and so, because otherwise you will get eaten alive. So I don't have a problem with people like, thinking highly of themselves in the business. I think that's part and parcel of success in pro wrestling in general. But sometimes it's very funny when it comes to wrestlers like Lacey Evans who are just complete duds, complete and utter duds, right? And remember, this is the one who was screaming like drill instructions to Sammy Guevara, right? In that one video when Sammy had his tryout, his PC tryout, and she was screaming stuff at him, saying that he wasn't going to make it and all that. I'm like, look at you now. Look at you now. Look, she's not a good wrestler. She annoys me to hell. Saying if and when I come back, like, come on, please. Please. If WWE was going to bring you back, they would have done it by now. Paul Levesque brought back so many people to this company, to WWE, right? He brought so many people back that Vince fired, and somehow you were not on that list. Paul Levesque brought back Carlito Caribbean Cool, but not you, Lacey Evans. I don't know what to tell you. And it's crazy, right? The meltdown happens just because Becky Lynch name drops her and says something that is objectively true. It's objectively true. It was a downgrade for Becky Lynch to come off of the historical main event that she won and to come off of that, and the follow-up program was going to be Lacey Evans. How can anyone argue that this was a terrible idea? That this was a good idea, excuse me. How can anyone argue this was a good idea? I really feel like, with retrospect, that it's Vince going like, well, this is what we're going to do, pal. And, with a little vengeance in his heart, where he's like, look, I'm done being dictated by the fans that told me that I had to do this with Becky Lynch for WrestleMania. So now you're going to do whatever the fuck I tell you. And you're going to fight Lacey Evans. And it might have been an ego check. It might have been a lot of things from Vince. Just bonkers. Anyway, so there you go. I am still flabbergasted that we have Lacey Evans in the news cycle. Melting down, just like what a lot of former pro wrestlers have been doing recently, melting down on Twitter, just having beautiful crash outs. I'm all for it. Let's go. You know, I would even say, hey, someone make sure that Lacey Evans' phone is in her hands and that the Twitter app is open. Let her go. Let her go. I'm okay with this. Let her post through it. Terra Rising is playing AD chess. He wishes. Justin Firestein, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat and happy American Thanksgiving to you. Hope you had a good one. All right, let's, I think I have one more thing on the docket. Yeah, just, I guess, kind of quickly here, because I don't think there's, this is a deep dive type of subject, but nonetheless, TNA is reportedly interested in the services of Bear Bronson. Let's read the article here from, once again, the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer. TNA are in talks with a former AEW wrestler. Fightful Select reported on Tuesday, which would have been a couple of days ago, actually, that they had conversations with Bear Bronson at their upcoming to work at their upcoming tapings in El Paso on December 5 through 7. According to the report, those in TNA have said they are hopeful that they can sign him if all goes well. One of Fightful's AEW sources also said AEW had interest in bringing him back. Bronson made his AEW debut in 2020 as part of Bear Country with Bear Boulder, and together the two were often seen on AEW television, usually losing to other tag teams. Eventually, they were rebranded as the Iron Savages, with Jacked Jameson joining the act. In February, Boulder was released after he was arrested for domestic battery, with Bronson departing soon after. Jameson remains in AEW as part of the frat house with Cole Carter, Preston Vance, and Griff Garrison. Since his departure, Bronson has been working heavily on the independent scene, working dates for GCW, Wrestling Open, and Limitless. I just heard the strangest noise, and I don't think the microphone... Oh, I know what it is now. Okay. There's like this really weird, like, scritching sound. And 100% the microphone's not picking it up because it was coming from over there. And then I realized I saw my dog. And then I know, that's what she's doing. It's fine. She's all okay. Okay. To the article. I think his decision to hit the indies like he did when his contract ran out with AEW was a great decision. I think he has done everything the right way and has generated just enough interest in him for people to be like excited for what's next for Bear Bronson's career. I personally, like, I enjoyed Bear Country. I thought they were a really good duo. I thought the Iron Savages were ass, like complete and utter ass. I didn't like the act in the least. However, you know, it was a shame that he was sent away like that. And look, if his work that he's done on the indies has garnered him interest from TNA, and if this is what he's looking for and he can get into the WWE extended family like that, well, all the more power to him. And you know what? I think he'll fit in great in TNA. Just like I think he'd still fit in great in AEW, but I feel like in TNA, his ceiling might be higher. I don't know what you guys and gals and non-binary pals in the chat think. I feel like his ceiling would be much higher in TNA than in AEW. Like, think of the roster right now. Think of who they have lined up. Where does Bear Bronson fit in this? Because you really do get the impression that this is a guy who is not interested at all in just being an act. You know, I think this is a guy who wants to, he really wants to push forward, have a really good career, maybe break out, maybe be a champion, you know, so on and so forth. And that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea. The issue in AEW is the ceiling is really, really high. How does he come in? How does he come in and counteract that? Now, I'm not saying like at this stage here, I'm not saying that it could never happen. And we've seen weirder in AEW, and maybe he'd come in and Tony would see something and be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to give this guy the push. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But I think like in TNA right now, I think I think his ceiling is a lot higher. And then when you consider the connections with WWE, well, I mean, he has multiple doors that open from that point on, right? There's a lot of things then he could do. And look, if AEW has interest in bringing him in, well, go ahead and do it. Like, don't fuck around. I always thought it was kind of a shame that they let him go. Because like I said, like I like the act. The first one, the Bear Country stuff. I like that. But you know, everything else he's did, and I think he himself even said at some points, like, I didn't want to be in a comedy act. I'm talking about the Iron Savages, and I don't blame him. It stunk. My God. Like, Jack Jameson, even to this day, has severe go-away heat with me. But look, if TNA ends up picking him up and he has a good run there, good for him. I'm looking forward to the next step in his career. But all the more power to this guy for washing himself away, washing his former tag team partner away, reinventing himself as a singles guy. These are not easy things to do. So good for him for doing all of that and making sure that he has that he's able to stand on his own as a singles guy, away from all of the disgusting stuff that his former partner did, so that it doesn't reflect on him. I think he did nothing but excellent moves, and you know, I'm excited to see what his career is gonna, what other steps his career is gonna take. What is he gonna do moving on from here? TNA is interested. Apparently AEW is still interested. Okay, good for him. If there's a little mini bidding war for him, good for him. You know what I mean? Like, this is all very positive. But I'm sure he's putting together all of his options. We'll see what happens. I still maintain he's got a higher ceiling probably in TNA than he does in AEW. But hey, you know what? This would be a great opportunity to start bringing back Dark. Not that he should be sequestered on Dark, but you bring him in. You have him beat up some dudes on Dark for a couple of weeks. He's the type of wrestler who would benefit from that. Big, burly, strong guy throwing smaller dudes around, local talent. Sure, absolutely. That's how you'd get him over. That's how you should use him to get him over. So there you go. Again, not necessarily a deep topic, but did want to bring it up. How you doing, Anthony Manzano? Welcome to the chat. How about him in New Japan? I can see him doing well, and in Noah. Sure. I mean, the thing is like, the thing with New Japan right now is they are cutting back on. I don't know if you heard. Financially, New Japan is not necessarily in a great spot right now, and it hasn't been for a while. But it can their woes are continuing on that front, and they are cutting back on bringing in foreigners to on tours. They've cut back a lot. There were reports hanging around just before the Super Junior Tag League started that they were supposed to bring back Ninja Mac, but then Ninja Mac was like, well, turns out my September just freed up, or something to that effect, right? Because he was rumored to be in Super Junior Tag League, and clearly that fell through, which connected with other stuff that we'd been hearing in regards to New Japan, that they're just in cost-cutting mode because they don't have any money. So while he might do well, I think it's right now, sometimes in wrestling it's all about timing, and the timing just isn't there for him, at least in New Japan. Noah, sure, it depends, because Noah has its ties with WWE as well. We don't know how much insight or look, we don't know many details about that relationship, but it seems to me that a lot of the foreigners coming in for guest spots have all been WWE adjacent, a lot of NXT people. So maybe they have some kind of exclusivity there. All Japan has been bringing in a select number of North American wrestlers. The Zion Quinn, right? The former Odyssey Jones, for fuck's sake. So, All Japan might be a candidate there. But the question always is, at the same time, does he want to go there? Does he want to do tours in Japan? I mean, it always seems like fun and games. It's like, oh, great, awesome, a tour of Japan, but you're leaving for months. I don't remember if he has a family or not, but then you leave all those people behind for, well, yeah, maybe not for months, but for weeks and weeks, right? Then you come back, and you might go back if things go well. Then you have to live there for a while. You have to, you sleep in hotels and, the road life. And some people are just like, look, it's hard enough to do it in North America and the US. I'm not going to do it in another country where I don't even know, I can't even speak the language, kind of thing, But depends what he wants to do too. I just don't think I don't think the opportunities to go work in Japan are as free and open as they once were, especially with New Japan being a little bit on the suffering a little bit more on the business side of things. I'm not saying that could never happen. I'm just saying it might not be the shoe-in that we typically expect. How about that? I think that's a good way to put it. There we go. So, well, I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight, folks. We're going to head on down that old dusty trail and sign off for the evening and the week as far as streaming goes. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a good time wherever you were in the world, whether it is post-Turkey USA or, wherever else. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed myself. I always enjoy the streams. I always have a good time, and I hope you had a good time. Thank you all so very much for showing up and sharing these lovely pro wrestling moments with me. I will be back Monday for the big stream. For the big old lazy stream. Warren has to go update his Lacey Evans Goldberg fanfiction archive. No. You got to be careful. A lot of slander going on these days. I'll be back Monday for another stream, and the whole process starts up again. Thank you very much. And thank you. Have a great weekend yourselves, everyone. Enjoy yourselves tremendously. If you're, go nuts on Black Friday tomorrow. Just go nuts. Buy everything you see. Even though the discounts aren't as deep anymore and Black Friday is a myth. It's not Black Friday anymore because no one gets trampled trying to get an $80 50-inch screen, TV screen at Walmart anymore. Those days are over. Black Friday it's not, this ain't your granddaddy's Black Friday anymore. But I hope you enjoy it nonetheless. And I hope you find all of your holiday gifts for all of your loved ones. Hope you have a great one. Go watch Randy Orton and get back to me. I'll see you next time, folks. Woo!